Welcome to Part of My Imagination. I'm Imagination and you're the Imaginers. Well, welcome if this is your first time. My name is Jasmine and welcome back if this is your second or third or however many times you click on my channel. Welcome. Today, if you can't tell from the title of the video, we're going to be doing a tea time review. Now, I want to be transparent with y'all. There ain't shit in this cup. Ain't shit in it. But it's a tea time review. So I had to bring out my cup. And this cup is so beautiful. My boyfriend got it for me for my birthday. It's Studio Ghibli House Moving Castle. Like, look at this cup. It is so freaking gorgeous. Calcifers on the back. Okay. Well, let me put my fake tea down. And the book that we're going to be talking about is Eleanor by Jason Gurley. Here's the cover, up close and personal, so you can get a good look at this book. Okay, so if you watched my mid-year freak out tag, I talked about this book and then I said I was just going to do a tea time review because let's talk about it. And I also said in my wrap-up that I was going to tea time review about this, and I just didn't get to it, and now we're getting to it. We're getting to it right this second. But I'm going to read the synopsis for you and then we'll go from there. We're going to talk about my thoughts about this book because we need to get into it. Eleanor has been ripped out of time. Eleanor and Esmeralda are identical twins, inseparable until a terrible accident claims Esmeralda's life. Eleanor's family is left in tatters, and Eleanor is forced to grow up quickly as she becomes the target of her mother's grief-filled rage. Years pass and Eleanor's painful reality begins to unravel in inexplicable ways. Again and again, against her will, she falls out of her reality into other ones, leaving behind empty rooms and worried loved ones. One fateful day, Eleanor is torn from this world altogether and meets with a mysterious stranger who reveals to Eleanor the weight of her family's loss. Esmeralda's death was not the only tragedy in her family's fragmented history, and unless Eleanor can master her extraordinary new abilities, it may not be the last. Okay, also, I'm going to read this little blurb on here too because I feel like it adds to what you're going to get from this story. This raw and beautiful story about the intensity of loss and the complex relationship within families looks unflinchingly at how grief can make us strangers to ourselves and the unexpected ways in which family can save us. Haunting and powerful, Eleanor is a sweeping, genre-defying exploration of the power of love and loss, loyalty, and faith. Okay, so now that you have that, I don't know if y'all are going to read this book. If you do want to read it, I would say read it. I gave this book 4.5 stars out of 5 stars. I've already said multiple times, the reason why this book did not get 5 stars is a personal reason. It is personal to me because I have twins. Have I seen other people give this book 5 stars? No. I seen it on Prue's projects. Reagan, she had it on her bookshelf. She had it facing out on her shelf. So I was just assuming that she had read it and it's one of her faves. Again, because it was front facing. It could have just been for the cover. I don't know. I didn't see any review lit videos on her channel. Maybe she did them before I followed. But she's the only person that I have seen with this exact cover. Mind you, I got this from the dollar store. On her channel. On someone's channel. So, I don't know. Maybe I missed a wave for this book or whatever. I have no idea. But the 4.5 star rating is simply because I have twins. And I just could not, for the life of me, give it 5 stars in my own good conscience. Do I feel like it deserves a 5 stars? Yes. Personally, can't do it. But now that we're past that, let's really talk about this book. So, the book opened up, and it's not actually about Eleanor, the twin. It is actually following Eleanor's grandmother. And this kind of sets the precedence of this story, which is kind of weird because when you're reading it and then it goes into Eleanor's life, the twins, Esmeralda and Eleanor, you're kind of like, what is happening? Like, why was I given that first story? You know? And it doesn't make sense. But you're getting this first story about Eleanor's grandmother, Eleanor. Her name is also Eleanor. She was named after her grandmother. But you're seeing kind of what her grandmother went through and how that sets the precedence of the family for the family dynamic along the way, right? So you don't necessarily get to see Eleanor's mom's perspective as far as how this affected her, but then you do kind of see the effects of it because of how she is as a mother. You see tidbits of Eleanor's mom, and then you're basically following two perspectives. One perspective is mainly Eleanor's, and then she will get introduced to the second perspective, and it's this otherworldly perspective. It's kind of not as, it's a supernatural but not supernatural, if that makes sense. What's up, baby?
I'm starving.
Okay, so I can start cooking for you. Give me a second. You can make it yourself. Turn the water on. But okay, so you have these two perspectives, and it kind of just starts happening. You are following Eleanor go through her life with her mom and things like that, and it was just an amazing book. And the reason why I loved it so much is you're just getting this perspective of how your family's generations can affect your life and how that's going to play a life on yours. And it's basically just the passing of trauma, essentially. Like, whether it's good trauma or bad trauma. Not that there's good trauma, but you know what I mean? Just like good things that have happened in your life and bad things that happen in your life, and how that gets passed down in different ways as far as how you are as a person, how these things have warped you or made you over analyze things this way, or be lenient this way, or not lenient, or super strict this way, and kind of just how you are as a person. Like, other people's decisions affect you in ways that you don't necessarily understand unless you're like super in tune with yourself and in tune with other people. But when you're a child, you're not paying attention to that. You don't understand how your parents' decisions affect you until later on in life, and you realize, oh, this is why I am the way that I am. And that part of the story I love so much. That's the part that I really recommend for people. And then you get the perspective of how people deal with loss. And this was a portion, this is a portion that my heart just could not, I'm not going to say couldn't connect with, because I can connect with the fact that, well, I can't connect with the fact that I've lost a child, because I've never lost a child, especially not a child that was grown up into their young toddler / like adolescent years. Not necessarily so small, like preteen years. The girls are basically preteen when Esmeralda dies. I lost my train of thought.
Never lost a child at adolescence.
Thank you. That's what you're here for. You're here for more than that, but you know, when my brain's not braining, you brain for me. Okay, so yeah, baby, just out the window again. I know what you said, but like when I went to go start talking about it again, my brain was like, eh. I've never lost an adolescent child. I've never lost a child, period. So I can't relate to the idea of losing my child. But I feel like I've lived the fear long enough that I can understand and empathize and sympathize with this mother that has lost her child. And I can't say that I can say that. I can say I have so much love in my heart for my children that I would never be able to treat my child like this. Like, I just could not. The grief and having that grief live with you for the rest of your life, totally understand it. Totally understand it. But you treat my other child like they no longer exist. Oh, I just could not. I could not. And I feel like that's kind of where we're going to get into the spoilery part of it. So if you don't want to see the rest of this video, go ahead and just boop to the end. Thanks for coming. I appreciate it. We're going to get to the spoilers of why this book, oh my god, why did it not get 5 stars? The parents in this book were so goddamn aggravating. They were so aggravating. One, the mom was a piece of shit. She was a piece of shit. Okay? Beyond her grief, we can all say, I understand your grief. You just lost a child. You know what I'm saying? Like, you lost your child and right in front of you. Like, it wasn't even like a, oh wow, like, but she turned around and blamed Eleanor for Esmeralda dying. Hear me out, right? Hear me out. Okay, the way, it's not a surprise because we all know Esmeralda dies. Esmeralda died because she was sitting in the front seat. She was sitting in the front seat, or no, she was sitting in the back seat, right? So she was sitting in the back seat. They got into a car accident because there was a car that was completely stopped on the edge of the road and they rammed into the back of it. Esmeralda goes through the front of the goddamn, she goes through the front. She didn't have her seat. She was arguing with her sister in the front, so she unbuckled her seatbelt. So then when they got into the accident, Esmeralda was never buckled back in. So she went through the window shield and she died, right? Okay. The mom blames Eleanor and she says, if you weren't sitting in the front seat, Esmeralda would have lived. And to tell your child that, like, not only did Eleanor lose her sister, but she essentially lost her parents too, because her mom treats her like fucking dog water and like just acts like she doesn't exist, and she basically doesn't take care of her because she's fucking drunk all the goddamn time. Like, how she continues to keeps getting this alcohol, couldn't tell you, but she just keeps fucking buying all this alcohol. She's drunk as shit all the fucking time, and when she is awake, she's like throwing rude things and mean fucking things to Eleanor, who doesn't deserve this. And that part, that's what, like, oh, that part, the book, that part of the book made me so angry, because I'm like, how dare you? And she actually told Eleanor that it was her fault that Esmeralda died. Like, it was her fault, and she's like basically told her, like, why couldn't it be you? So like that also goes into the, like, why did you have favorites? Like, how could you even tell your child that? Because then that tells Eleanor that even when Esmeralda was alive, Esmeralda was your favorite. And I don't have favorites. Like, I love them both equally. Like, I couldn't imagine having a favorite child. Like, that didn't sit right with my soul. But we're not going to just place all the blame on the mom. It is the dad's fault. It is literally also the dad's fault, because the dad left. He literally just left. He was like, yo, not Esmeralda, Eleanor begged her dad to go with him when he left, and he was like, no, like, you need to stay, and I just can't. Like, he left because he couldn't. And that portion, again, I understand. At some point you have to move on, and we're not saying don't forget, but she just, like, didn't move on from her daughter's death, and she had another child to take care of. But the dad, he kind of, like, I'm not gonna say he moved on, you know, like, he still grieves. And it's always going to be, again, it's always going to be a life thing that you grieve about. But he wasn't just, like, sitting there. I don't know why I just didn't have the book up. But he wasn't just sitting there, you know, not taking care of his other child. But then again, he stopped taking care of his other child because he left. And then later on, when Eleanor gets a little bit older, he's like, you should just come live with me, after he's got all his shit together. And, like, how dare you? And then she was like, no, because I feel like now it's my responsibility to take care of my mom, even though my mom treats me like shit. And, like, Eleanor was feeling guilty about that shit. Nah, fuck that. Fuck that. Both of them parents ain't shit. And that is what, that killed it for me. That killed it for me. Because they were some badass fucking parents. They were some badass fucking parents. And I don't know if it was purposeful by Jason Gurley. Oh, why that's why he wrote them that way or what. But I feel like the parents could have been so better written. And again, okay, I'm not making excuses because she's an ain't shit mama. But I think that because of the relationship that she had with her own mother and the things that happened with her mother, she just became a shitty mom. Because she also didn't want to be a mom. Like, she just became a mom. And then she was kind of like that stressed out mom. Like, stay-at-home mom of two twins. Or twins. So I, like, okay, whatever. But that doesn't excuse how you treat your child. Like, I don't care. I don't want to hear none of that. She's a shitty mom. And he was a shitty dad. And then he tried to, like, change it around and, like, oh, you need to do this or come be with me. Like, it's too late for you to try to step up. I mean, it's not too late because at the end of the day, she's still a child. So he could have at any point said, you're going to come live with me. It's not there's no if, and, or buts about it. But yeah, that was it, right? That was the book. And I'm gonna leave, like, I don't want to spoil the entire book for you. I don't want you to understand what the otherworldly part of it, but the other perspectives were also very interesting, because it put a new, at least for me, because I haven't read this in a book before, but it put like a new spin on, like, I guess you could say afterlife, essentially. And having that, like, feeling of, like, you feel like you're connected to the people that you've lost, and it kind of plays on that, like, connection, and saying that people are always, like, your loved ones are always around and watching and things like that. So that portion of it I really enjoyed. That whole side of it, I really enjoyed it. I'm telling you, it really did not get 5 stars for me, simply because of the parents. Like, I could not get jiggy with it. I wish he didn't do that. I wish he didn't make the mom have this messed up relationship with Eleanor. Like, I just genuinely, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Like, I could have dealt with the dad walking away if the mom had also just kind of stepped up and still grieve, like, still show us that process of grief. But she just treated Eleanor like she was, like, that wasn't even her daughter, and that just, it didn't sit right with my soul. It didn't sit right with my soul. I couldn't do it. Okay? But yeah, that's it. I'm not gonna talk so much about, I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna let it go. It was a great book. Y'all should read it. Y'all should really read it. The grief and processing through grief and generational grief, oh, spot on. I loved it. But ain't shit parents, these the ones. These the ones. And yeah. But, and that's all that I have for you guys today. Be sure to check out my description where you can find easy ways to contact me, as well as the book that I talked about and videos. If you like this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if not, just imagine I did and come back again. Until next time, keep imagining.